We are at the International. Hello, Blogineers. We are at the International Printing Museum for the. Hello, Blogineers. We are at the Independent. Hello, Blogineers. We are at the International Printing Museum for the Independence Day celebration.
Yeah, so this little press here we have, it's called a proofing press. So as you can see, they gave me one of the simpler ones. So all the other ones that have those big wheels and all the heavy machinery, those are ones where you're absolutely done and you're really sure you want to print. So what's here with just this wheel and this little slide here, this is to check your work. So you know when you're doing your homework and you want to make sure that everything is right, you go back and check it. This is the type of press you would use to check your work on your printing. So as you can see right here, if you take a look, you have all these little tiny little letters and then our little Paul Revere up here. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that everything is in its right place, everything is spelled right, and once this is checked, you can go towards the big presses and make it all finished. So what we're going to do here, you see all this black ink here, we're going to take a little bit of it, kind of roll it around. We're going to roll it across our letters, make sure it's all nice and inked up. And then what you want to use for this is you want to use, not your best paper. So if you guys want to feel that, it's a little thinner, not the nicest paper in the world. And then you just put it on top. And which one do you want to print first? Do you want to print first? Okay, here. You're going to grab this with me. So you feel how heavy that is? Yeah, we're going to roll this across. Roll it and finish, and so we don't crush any fingers. Put that back in, and then here you want to grab that edge with me, and we'll peel it back, and there you go. You have your story of Paul Revere's ride, and from there you can check and make sure that everything is as it should be. And if you need to make any changes, you make it here before you make 100 or 200.
It's wet. Mama, put it in your bag.
Plenty of ink on there, so we can set it down here. Okay, if you want to grab the handle and we'll roll it across. Roll it across. Perfect.
You only
That
roll
help me peel
once?
up? Yeah, so this is one of the more simple presses. So it's really just to kind of proof your work and make sure everything is aligned. So you.
This press was invented by a Baptist minister in the late 1790s. He wanted to print a church newspaper, and he couldn't afford to buy a press, so he invented his own press. He had this company, the Walker Company, in Madison, Wisconsin, to forge all the parts for him and actually make it after he designed it. It's pretty ingenious because it's lightweight. It's only 4,000 pounds. That's the weight of a Volkswagen. You guys have seen the Volkswagen, haven't you? The Beetle, the Volkswagen Beetle.
Yes.
It's about what a Volkswagen Beetle weighs. But a big city press was 10 to 20,000 pounds to print a newspaper. So that's considerably lightweight comparatively. Also, it didn't require water or steam power. Those larger presses required either water power or steam power. Feel? You feel that? How about mom? You want to feel it? Some advertising right on the front or wrapping around the front. They didn't used to do that, but they did a way long time ago. Articles that were national and international articles, you subscribe to that and they would send you these papers. They would be pre-printed, they would leave spaces for your ads, they would leave your space for your masthead. Those companies, here you go guys, have a fun day at the printing museum. I can tell you about any of this. We'd use a machine like this called a platen press or jobber press. This is from about 1895. Look at the beautiful curved spokes in here. These spokes were incorporated up until about 1917 when they went to straight spokes because it saved a little extra metal. But for what little it saved, it doesn't have the beauty of the nice curved spokes. Your type would be set. Once you composed your type, you put it in a chase, this metal frame here. You put furniture around it, and you use these expansion things we call coins to tighten it up so it's real tight this way and that way.
Yes, correct. So
that way, when they carry it around, the type won't fall out.
Please don't shoot the piano.
So it,
No, piano player.
More important than that is, I'll bring it over here. This is very heavy. You see, it's got a combination of wood and metal type in here.
Please don't shoot the piano.
As type gets larger, over an inch, they usually went to wood type because metal type is too expensive and too heavy. You have to make it very tight, or when the ink goes on here, printer's ink is extremely sticky, and you put pressure on a piece of paper on that. If your type is loose at all, when you pull that paper off, you're going to pull your type out, and basically in here, ink is put up here, go on with the treadle, so you get it all inked up. So this is the off position. And you use this to get your type inked up and ink all distributed evenly. And when you're ready, you go ahead and put your paper in. Put it in the print position. So now the printer's going to be doing that. He's going to be putting one in, take it out, put another one in. Of course, we're not really printing here because if it was, it would come out face up with the ink on it like this. So you can do that as fast as you can crank the wheel and put it in and out. Now, in doing so, back then when they designed industrial equipment, it doesn't make the machine print faster, it doesn't make the machine any more durable, last longer, it just looks great in your shop. So they were concerned about how things look when they designed things. So if you look at roller, your paper would be placed on top. You crank the handle.
So it depends on
The bed goes under. You pull this. You press the press down on the paper. Let it go. Uncrank it. The bed comes out. You pull off one piece. You usually had at least two people work this press. You had whoever inked it and whoever handled the paper. You never had your paper guy and your ink guy doing the same job because otherwise fingerprints all over your paper. And sometimes they would have a third guy.
Set it in type, sent it out to all of the colonies and the parishes in the colonies. It was read. You might get a copy of there. And then they had a scribe write this version, which they all signed. And that's the one we think is original. It's the original. Notice, this says a declaration. This says a unanimous declaration. Very important that everybody agreed by this. So printing was important to the founding of our country. Benjamin Franklin was a printer. He always signed his name, Benjamin Franklin, printer. He was proud of that. He was our first Kinko's. He had presses in all 13 colonies and Puerto Rico.
Really?
Yes. and he made millions. Retired, went into politics, and invented a man by the name of Johann Gutenberg, who is a goldsmith, works with metals all the time, thinks maybe there's a better way. Because if you wanted a Bible, which was the most common book then as now, you went to a monastery and you said, I'd like a Bible, and the monk said, I'm going to get you a Bible, give me 5 years' wages. So you would take 5 years' wages, roll it up in your wheelbarrow that was invented by the Chinese, and pay him. And he said, good, come back in 5 years, you get your Bible. So in Europe, in 1450, there are about 20,000 books. Slow process. Gutenberg comes along, he says, I'm fooling around with this piece of steel. And he creates a letter form. I'm very good at this, you notice that. He hardens this in a fire so it's a good hard piece of steel. And now he can take that, he can take a piece of brass, put this on it, see how dented that is, hit it with a hammer, and he creates a matrix. Matrix is an exact copy. Well, I can do something with this, fill it with chocolate. No, that doesn't work. So now I'm going to tell you what Gutenberg's big invention was. It is this. He creates a mold. Then when it slides together, it's adjustable, has a base with a hole in it. So now he can slide his matrix in there, push this shut, this spring holds it in place, and now I have a cavity, Gutenberg has a cavity, that he can fill. Well, he's not going to fill it with gold or silver, too expensive. And he needs a metal that melts at a low temperature, 550 degrees about. And that metal is lead. But lead is soft, so it would dent easily. So Gutenberg, being a metallurgist of time, adds antimony to make lead harder and tin to make it flow smoother. And with that, he creates type metal that we still use today. 550 degrees, it's liquid, and it becomes hard and hot very quickly. So now I'm going to do my Terminator here. So now Bird can actually cast a letter.
One letter?
One letter.
That took
But
some time.
well, if you were quick in those days, you could do quite. But now I can make multiples of this letter. And once I have them, Walter, yeah, I see it. So once I have that letter, I can cast multiples of it. Cast those. It's 550 degrees hot and it's burning in my hand. Okay. So I'm going to knock this tail off, file it down. Now all my letters are going to stand exactly the same height, 0.918 of an inch. Don't know why that was the measurement. I think he just made the mold and that's what it came out to be. So that's how it goes. Gutenberg creates that movable type. He can save it. Where's George? Brent, come over. I'm going to take the thing. So Gutenberg creates type. I told you there's 20,000 books in Europe. By 1500, there are 12 million. And we have the Reformation and all that because of movable type. You want to explain about the case and so forth, I'm going to have to get my drummer boy going.
There we go. Okay, so obviously printers, you know, you have a bunch of letters just laying around. You need to sort them. They're no good just laying around all over the place. So they put things in a type case. So do you think the most common letters, you want to put them in big boxes or small boxes? That's right. Why?
So they don't get lost.
Great. Use the most, like A's, T, R, S, things like that. The smaller ones are for letters we don't use as much, like Q, Z, things like that. So printers thought of another great idea, that they're going to put the big letters on top and the smaller letters on the bottom, which gave us, when you learn handwriting, you learn how to write things in capital. What's another word for capital?
Magister.
Not quite. Uppercase and?
Lowercase.
There we go. Great. So, this is the Gutenberg press. Someone remind me, when was the Gutenberg press created? When? Great. How'd you know that? Good job. You went to school. It's the original. What happens to big old wooden things?
Right.
They break? What else? Burn? Yeah, what else? It's best thing. This was commissioned by
Hear ye, hear ye, now hear this. The house is open for the confounding brothers in our theater. First come, first serve seating. I repeat, the house is open for the confounding brothers in our theater. First come, first serve seating.
Thank you, sir.
We'll come back.
The one that doesn't say lunch.
Yeah.
Here, don't give me the lunch ticket.
The show tickets?
Along shortly, so I get.
Understand that Dr. Franklin, Mr. Adams, and Mr. Jefferson will be spooked by you taking pictures of them with your cell phones or having them up. It is not within their knowledge, those things which we do. So please turn them off and no recording.
By ignorance to be unfit for the office that he holds. However wise and scientific as a philosopher, as a politician, he is a child and dupe of party.
Yes, Mr. Adams, I am alive and well. Well, maybe not alive, but well. John, you don't look very much alive yourself. But with you, it was always hard to tell.
Pray, good friend, if you are peeved at my last outburst, I apologize for wanton good spirit, but this is Mr. Jefferson. There be no future in it.
Outstanding. Why, this library rivals my own at Monticello. Such books abound. 'Tis sweet heaven to me. Why, look at these fine signs.
Your servant, sir. I thought it was alone. I do beg your pardon.
Oh, it's just good to see you.
Mon ami, oh, tout d'abord. Comment allez-vous aujourd'hui?
Ah, comme ci, comme ça.
Oh, je m'appelle Jean-François By them.
Dr. Franklin, Fetzer Almanac.
Oh, hi, poor Rich.
The Great Experiment. Amazing.
Amusing. Appalling. I mean, really, good sirs, this be the pinnacle of our blood anguish and tearful endeavors. Why, this gathering seems to be threadbare of any moral fiber.
Well, now, Mr. Adams, you cannot judge a book by its cover.
Oh, save it for your almanac, Dr. Franklin. Why, this gathering, dressed as they are, would make the Louis XVI court look like a Quaker meeting.
Nay, John, do not in your planter. I am charmed, to be sure.
Memories, if not for the occasional bitter recollections, as poor Richard would say, no pain, no gain, eh, Mr. Adams?
Dr. Franklin, with all of your machinations and inventions, I'm glad you are on our side. But getting back to the causes of which we are here, you certainly had your share of pain and anguish with that cherished document.
Pain, none such. Frustration, most certainly. Why, it was foisted upon me to set to paper to list our grievances, when others...
Do not look at me. They were feared I'd put too many jests and witty parables in the thing. I thought this was going to be named the Epistle of Emancipation.
I heard from Sherman it was to be the announcement of alienation.
I do declare I'll not read it to you all. Firstly, I never was a public speaker to begin with, and rightly let this august body seek it out and review it for themselves in their own time and place, especially on this day.
I agree. Let them contemplate their own independence. After all, they have enjoyed the fruits of our labors.
Well, there's one thing I've learned in my illustrious career is never to argue with a lawyer, especially when you have two of them in the same room. I much feel like the proverbial country fish betwixt two city cats.
Really, Dr. Franklin?
Oh, nay, good friend. I'm being facetious. Gentlemen! Don't have to remind me. Yes, it not only protected property, friends, but it also saved lives too. As well as the odometer. When you drive in your carriages, look at your odometer. That was one of my inventions. As Postmaster General, we didn't have a clue on how many miles it was between one colony to another. So I...
Want to grab 4 hot dogs? Kind of warm. Just watch the sides. And then apple pie if you want. Condiments are in the back behind you.
我要 noli， 我要 noli 的。哦。
There'll be better songs. And you have 8 counts to do it. 5, 6, 7, 8. Long lines forward and back. Next couple now. Get ready for circles and stars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bottom two couples, come up. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and top couple pass to the bottom. Everybody move up. Long lines. And back. Top couple down the hall. Long lines. Next top couple. Circles and stars, they're going to be different. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, back. Bottom two couples, come back up. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and top couple pass to the bottom. Everybody moves up. Long lines. Top couple. Long lines. Next top couple. Circle. And back. Bottom two couples. Top couple only. Pass the bottom. Everybody move up. Long line. Top couple down to the bottom. Long line. Top couple. Circles and stars. Bottom two. Everybody move up. Long line. Last time. Top couple. Long line. Top couple. Circles and stars.
And same thing with
Okay. All right, now reach over here and grab this with both hands and pull as hard as you can. There you go. All right, so grab the handle and this time pull towards you. Very good.
Come on over and have it straight up. Keep going. That's great.
Very good. Let me get you a bag.
Oh, that's back.
Do you have a
Okay, that's good.
Very good.
Come on over and grab it and straight up. Keep going. That's great.
Very good. Let me get you a bag. So this press, we call the Columbian press, was invented around 1800 by a man named George Clymer. And it's the first iron press in America.
And they had 7.
Can I print one?
He was quite a merchant, what's the word I'm thinking, marketer, besides being a good machinist. He put all of his design on it. And as he said, you may not remember my name, George Clymer, you may not remember the name of the press, the Columbian, but you'll never forget.
Are we inked up again?
Yes, we just
Okay.
did. All right, who's next? shirt. Okay.
Push it away push it away from you. Gently push it in. Okay, go slow. Keep going. It's very heavy.
Come on, a little more. Okay.
All right.
Good.
That's good. Now you want to grab this handle with both hands on the
Right up
end
here.
and
Yeah.
pull as hard as you can.
Keep going. Keep going. A little more. And quick. There you go.
Grab the handle and this one pull back towards you.
Okay, now grab a corner and pull it straight up. Da 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 da. Okay, turn around, show it to you. Yeah, camera. Yeah, great. Thank you.
Your printer now.
Well, I'm going to put it in the front.
There you go.
Actually,
Where do you want me to put it? Is there a blank page?
no, for his. Here, on the walk down.
Oh, yeah. We'll do that. Ready? Right? You, my friend. I want yours here. Okay. Then you just have to write International Printing Museum, and I'll count that.
When we have the roller set down so that it's not working, the pin is headed down, but when you're rolling, you're going to flip it over so that that doesn't scrape your hand. Okay, and then you'll grab that and then transfer the ink onto your art. Cover all of the areas of the art. And then grab your paper and center it on top as best as you can. Perfect. And then let's bring the lid down. Bring it all the way down. And then grab that handle and swing it across. There we go. Right, okay? Cool. That looks awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, now roll it. Keep going until you think it's good. Okay, good. Okay, now put it on here and roll it.
I wanted to put a picture so it stayed there, so like I didn't know what else to put in there. So
You're done talking.
just did it. This one? Yeah. Oh, okay.
I got it. Do it. Get across. Oh,
What's your finger?
Watch your fingers. Don't forget she'll have fingers when you're singing. Wow, you guys are strong. You guys are strong.
Watch your elbow.
Watch the lady's elbow.
Good job.
Come back again.
Alright, you want to open the lid? Grab your paper.
Whoa!
Good job.
Isn't that great? That's cool.
So you want to give it a shot? Yeah. Okay. So, this is a Gutenberg press. All of the power of our press comes from this. Do you know what this is? Any idea? giant screw. So this comes from a wine press. So squeeze the juice out of the grapes. Instead, we're gonna press the ink onto the paper. So next thing we're gonna do is ink it up. Before we ink it up, I'm gonna show you these. These are called ink balls. So what you would do is dip them in ink and ink up the paper, or ink up the letters. For 1500, you know, this is the best technology they have, but things are gonna get a little better. So everyone take a look over there. You might wanna, just for a sec. The spongy material on the roller, it was held on with usually molasses, so it's very common for a printer to show up one morning and find this. Wraps eaten through. Okay. Okay. First thing you're going to do is you need to crank that forward. Can you do that? Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep on going, keep going. There you go. Good. Okay. I'll let you guys do this. Now pull this back as hard as you can.
I don't want to see this.
Okay, so now let's bring it back. Now let's crank it back. Yep. Yeah.
Can I try it?
Yep. Yeah, you have. Yeah.
Because we only have time for one.
Yeah, and he's got to do it too. Yeah, Big brother does it, he's got to do it.
Keep going, keep going.
Keep going all the way up. The little one always has to do it better.
Okay. So let's see what we made.
Wow. Look at that. What you did. Wow. Awesome.
So before I let you go, notice the similarity?
Yeah. Yes.
So what a printer would do, they'd print this page, they'd take it over to a monastery, and they'd have the monks do the rest.
Right.
So take it home, let it dry, then draw on it. Make it look pretty. Have a great time.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This is our passport to history adventure to the International Printing Museum, and today we are here for the what?
Independence Day celebration. Alright, go.
This is our passport to history adventure to the. This is our passport to history adventure to the International Printing Museum.
Alright, go.
Today we are here for the Independence Day.
Go.
This is our passport to history adventure to the International Printing Museum, and today we are here for the Independence Day celebration.